Good morning. It is Monday again.
So I just thought I'd like to leave the board as well. John Champion, we certainly wish you luck. Thank you very much.
Let's get Radio 4 off. I'm not really in the mood for the Radio 4. So some these are really low. Oof. Oh. Some buggy knocked my wing mirror off, so I'm kind of semi-blind. Don't like it. I'm trying to look in that mirror and it's not there. Let's do a bit of a different way of turning around. I can't actually see. Oh, yeah, sorry for not doing a video on the Friday or the Thursday. It doesn't feel like it. I think I've probably mentioned a couple of times before. I go through phases where I just kind of get stuck on loops. Lay there as well. It's grimaced at me. He was speeding up that road, grimacing, as he was driving to take his kid to school. Tut, tut, tut. There's another one there. There you go. You're welcome. That's manners, isn't it? Right, okay. Yeah, the last couple of months I've found a word for it now. I've been suffering from executive dysfunction, which sounds like quite a fun 80s or 90s kind of, you know, when they had those business comedies. They were all in, weren't they, with shoulder pads and power dressing and situation comedies kind of set in businesses. Yeah, that sounds like that. Doesn't feel as fun, generally. So yeah, basically, executive dysfunction. I've been executively dysfunctional again. And last time this happened, I looked to see if there was some kind of pattern I looked back in my videos and I saw that it was roughly a month ago. It seems to be the end of the month that I get to feeling like this. So yeah, it seems to be a regular thing, and it seems to be tied into my hormonal activity, presumably. So interesting. So it just means it's something that I'm gonna have to kind of put up with, and but it is really tricky. It's tricky how you've got like approximately 50% of the population have the potential to be partially disabled at any point of the month. And it makes me wonder what would be done about this if it was the other way round. Because we just kind of get on with it. It's always dangerous talking about kind of feminist stuff, I find. Not that I'm not a feminist, because I don't like that word. That word's become, yeah, it's become a bit derogatory in a lot of ways. And the word feminism can go so many, or be seen to mean so many different things. Now, what I kind of, if I say, yeah, I'm a feminist, it's in the way that I genuinely believe that men and women are different but equal. I think that, yeah, we are going to have different aptitudes generally, but then I don't believe that it is right to assume what our aptitudes are in the same way that it wouldn't be right to assume that people of a certain colour like to, you know, or are good at doing a certain job or are incapable of doing a different job. I think, yeah, I mean, my mum was on Facebook, and she scrolled past this news story about this woman who had entered this cycling race, and they had the men starting first and then the women starting 10 minutes later, so they were on the same course at the same time. And what they hadn't anticipated was that the leader of the female pack had actually caught up with the guys. So instead of them pausing and letting her through, or them, them just making allowances for her overtaking like any other man would, they made her wait so that they could keep a distance. And I thought, that just seems, if that was the other way around, this is what I find. I think if that was the other way around, what would, how would it be dealt with? If it just seems hideous to me that you don't have to pay tax on birth control, but you do have to pay tax on tampons and things. That just seems... I'm looking at a van in front of me, and it's got RK Petty Plumbing and Heating, and I'm like, yeah, thank you, universe. It does seem really petty. Yeah, I do question these things quite a lot. The thing is, it's so complex, the situation. And yeah, the gender pay gap and equal pay and all that kind of thing. It's not as simple as, well, two people doing the same job, because I think men are conditioned to be more competitive in negotiating for jobs, and to also believe that they are deserving of that job and will do that, will be good at that job. I think men will go into interviews thinking that they're better than they are, whereas women will generally go into interviews thinking they're not as good as they are. Obviously, these are generalisations, but I think there is some truth in that, bearing in mind how our brains kind of work. So in that case, if you've got two people going for the same job, one happens to be an aggressive negotiator who's super confident and the other one isn't, then you can kind of guess who's going to come out with the best deal on the pay and benefits in that job. And it's not going to be because of the person interviewing or the person making that decision thinking, well, you're a man, you deserve more, necessarily. It might be. In a lot of cases, though, even if that does happen, it might be a subconscious thing. Wouldn't necessarily, people have in their head ideas of who should be in that company or in that role. And it's like when you're casting for a film, you have an idea of who you want in those roles, and if someone comes along and they fit your idea of who you want in that role, then of course you're going to cast them, and possibly pay a bit more for them as well. And quite often, I think in the business world, people have ideas of who they want in a role, and they may have a gender attached to that, and it's really kind of tricky, because at the end of the day, they may feel that the dynamic of the team would be a certain way if they had a certain person in there, and it may just be the mix of the team. It's so difficult, it's so complicated, and it's not necessarily always sexist. That's the thing. It is difficult. And everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. I think the key is not to judge people by their cover on it, really. I think that is the key. Never judge a book by its cover. But the thing is, if you've got quite a lot of books, you are going to look at the cover and you are going to read the blurb on the back, and you are going to make a decision whether to interview or not based on that. So you are going to judge that book by the cover. It's only after you've read the book that you're going to know if that's the right person for the job. But you're not necessarily going to go around reading every book, are you? I'm going to park it here. This looks like a nice one. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, it's tricksy. don't like not having this mirror. I really don't. I think it's perturbing. I'm going to have to use my eyes instead. There we go. Tiddly wings out of the way. Yeah. Very early. Plop. I reckon that's done. Well, today I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. I didn't realise I'd be talking about some kind of feminist thing. I think people are people. I said it before, you know, people are people. But I also realise that because people are people, it's